Hello and welcome back. In this video, I want to cover the magical unicorn. A lot of people tend to think that jobs with technology are all legit. Like everything that they ask for, you need to be qualified in. And those of us who have been in the industry for a number of years and have taken jobs in the industry know what's called a magical unicorn. A magical unicorn is the result of an IT manager mixing with a human resources recruiter. So what happens is the IT manager says, I need a person that does this, and he's thinking of separate people. But because he is so used to referring to other people in particular to their job category, for instance, a Python developer is not a Java developer, he just says, I need a Python developer, I need a Java developer. And what the human resources guy hears, or girl, is I need a developer who can do both Java and Python. He doesn't hear, or she doesn't hear, that you need two different people. So I got a wonderful letter here to demonstrate just exactly that. So I'm going to go ahead and read this out to you. Cannot work C2C. We offer sponsorship. I have no idea what that is. Must sit on site 100%. In other words, I have to move there. So hope all is well. I came across a recent copy of your resume and wanted to share that I have an immediate need for sharp developer, Python developer. Already, I noticed that this is a copy and paste email because he forgot the A. I have an immediate need for a sharp Python developer. When they make mistakes like that, that means they usually have a copy and paste message, especially with how formatted this is. This is definitely copy and paste. That brings experience within the banking industry. That literaturely, not literally, literaturely, in the form of grammar and the context, makes no sense at all. So this tells me that the person who sent this doesn't have English as a main language, because they would hear that and just cringe at how weird that sounded. So these are long-term opportunities based in Charlotte, North Carolina only, and I'm working directly with the hiring manager who is moving forward immediately. If interested, please respond with the most current version of your resume referencing 1701073 in the subject line. So in other words, even though he came across a recent copy, he wants a most current version. Again, that makes no sense. But let's get past the grammar and just continue on into the requirements. So, the key responsibilities. The job description is capital markets Python developer. Now, the candidates will be responsible for development of capital market application features supporting cash securities, FX, intercompany loan, and derivative trading businesses, with a development team for the global funding and investments technology organization within client in Charlotte. Now, I don't know what resume he came across, but it wasn't mine. It wasn't mine. Maybe my email was attached, but it wasn't mine, because what it says on mine is that I've only had about 3 years of experience in Python and that I'm a junior developer at best. and nowhere in my LinkedIn, the place where I've worked, and nowhere in my Dice does it say I've worked with any bank in my entire life. So he's already failed at recruiting me because I have never worked inside of a bank, and I don't know what half of these terms mean. Now, the primary application is a corporate investment trade lifecycle processing for cash securities, exchange traded products, and interest rate derivative trades for both international and domestic traders. The role is ideally suited for a senior Python developer with capital markets business knowledge and regulatory compliance experience. Must be able to work with users and application groups to facilitate implementation. So what this is telling me is that the guy didn't even bother looking at my resume. He only said that he looked at my resume, and he only saw that I had Python on my profile. In other words, he did not spend the time to realize, oh, he's only had 3 years of Python and he's not been hired to use it. So he's obviously not a senior developer with Python. Even though I've made quite a bit with Python, I would never call myself a senior developer with Python unless I had at least 4 years of experience with working inside of a job. Now, what do we have here? We have a senior developer with a minimum of 3 years Python experience and or 7 years Java development experience. Do you remember when I talked about the fact that a human resources manager will not understand the difference between Python and Java and will think that a person can qualify in both? Yeah, that's basically what just happened here. And or they're not really sure if there are people who can do both, but they're also not sure that there are only people that specialize in one of them. So what they need is they need a person with either 3 years of Python experience or 7 years of Java development experience. And what I'm looking at, 3 years is a junior, right? 3 years is still a junior. 7 years is definitely a senior. So, in other words, there's 2 different applications here. And the person who decided to send this in didn't tell them that this role is for 2 different people. You know, I need a junior developer with 3 years, and I need a senior developer with 7 years. Because that 4 years is the difference between an associate's degree and a bachelor's. All right. So experience on clients course, object-oriented design. This is basic programming, Python programming, and syntax, which basically tells me that they have no idea what the difference is between programming and syntax because they listed both. Transaction-oriented distributed systems and concurrency issues. So in other words, they know almost jack crap about the actual language that runs their software, but they sure as hell know all the terms and technology that's needed to run a bank. So that tells me that they have no idea what a developer does, but they sure as hell know what a banker does. Standard SDLC practices. I have no idea what that is. Testing, debugging, and problem determination skills. Really? You mean critical thinking? You could have just gone with critical thinking. Good oral and written communication skills, analytical skills, and a highly professional attitude are essentials. So in other words, don't cause a conflict and work hard for us. Be proactive, a problem solver, and be able to work with minimum supervision when given a goal. In other words, they have no one above them that can tell them what to do if something goes wrong. They're putting all the responsibility on this one developer. Um, Candidates should have experience with capital market products, trading systems, environments, front and middle office processes, and a trading environment. In other words, um, you have to have had this position before because they don't want to train you in anything. They don't want to make sure that you know what you're doing before they send you out. They just want to know that you've been in there. Oh, yeah, the general criteria for candidates that are hardworking, driven to success in a highly competitive environment, advanced degree preferred, no job hoppers, and local to Charlotte. Like, really? No job hoppers? Really? I've never met a developer that's a job hopper. Normally we select one job and we're in it for like 6 years. So experience with agile development, object databases. Object databases is a plus. Really? So pretty much working with a database is a plus. YAML file syntax. YAML. Really? Really? I'm saying really because if you don't know those two things, you need to go learn those two things. You shouldn't be applying to jobs. Because YAML is how Ruby on Rails. Uh, I forget exactly what YAML does in Ruby on Rails, but I know you need it in Ruby on Rails. Um, you need it for whenever, like documentation, right? You need it for documentation. Oh, yeah, migrations with databases. There we go. I don't know why it slipped my head, but you need YAML for the migration up, down, and create methods for Ruby on Rails. So YAML is part of the migration process. But I don't know what. Like I said, I haven't worked with Python for that long, so I don't know what YAML has to do with Python. But YAML is kind of one of those things where you gotta know YAML or you gotta go something like YAML. So this is what I mean by they want a unicorn. They want a person who has done this job before, who has lots of experience, um, who mainly focuses on Python, or Java. Both would be preferable so that they don't have to hire another person. And they also want a person who's also done this job before. And what I don't mean that they've worked in this type of job. I mean they have worked for a bank before doing those things because they don't want to show them what to do. They're basically looking for a unicorn. They're looking for that specific developer that somehow managed to work the exact position that they want them for the exact amount of years that they have experience for. That's what they're looking for. And developers like me scoff at this because you're not getting that person. You're getting maybe 2/3 of that person at best, and on average you're getting 1/3. Like, forget like half of the rest and just focus on that one line. Those are the applicants that you're mostly gonna see. And then as you go down the list, there will be less and less people that qualify for those specific skills. And the second you hit the more specific ones like YAML file syntax or the strong worth ethic, leadership, attention to detail, assertiveness, that's where you weed out the people who don't think that they're right for the job. And then once you hit that, bankers, that banker's requirement, because that's not a development requirement. That is a banker requirement. Once you hit that banker requirement, that's where you're going to see the least amount of people, if you see anyone at all. Because not everyone has worked with those exact technologies and those exact methods. That's a wide range of required skills. And that's why we call this the magical unicorn, is because no one can fit this perfectly. The odds of someone fitting this perfectly are extremely low, and thus we have the magical unicorn. And so, young children and non-children and Vocaloids, that is the story for today. That is what a magical unicorn is. Until next time, bye.